This is a 31-gallon deck box, storage box. You can use it on your front porch as a package delivery box. So I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase one, it would cost you about $35. So it comes flat packed in a cardboard box. And it has multiple little pieces inside. And many of these pieces have letters like C and up to tell you where they go. And it comes with an instruction manual that tells you where everything goes together. So this is made out of polypropylene. It's recycle number 5, so you could potentially recycle this if it were to break at some point in the future. Alright, about 9 minutes of assembly time. This guy measures 17 inches by 22 inches by about 21 inches high. It all snapped together very nicely with the exception of this bottom piece. There's some places where the snaps didn't really latch into place. And I pushed on it pretty hard. I used some clamps to try to snap it in. I'm not sure, but this D panel didn't quite fit perfectly. It seems to be holding just fine, but it's not quite as flat and flush as all the rest of the panels. But since that's on the bottom, I don't think it matters too much. So everything is polypropylene plastic. It's solid construction despite this woven pattern. So it's not, super strong. It kind of wiggles a little bit around. And it's pretty lightweight, so it's easy to put where you want it. The wind could blow this around until you put stuff inside to keep it knitted down. It's probably relatively watertight. I'm a little worried that water might pool inside of it if it does get in, because there's no real drainage or drain holes in the bottom. So I'm going to spray this down with a hose and see how it withstands that. Alright, I've placed some paper towels at the bottom of this to detect water entry. So it has this tiny little token locking hole here. You could put like a luggage padlock on it. It's good to keep like raccoons or kids out of it maybe, but the whole thing snaps together so it could snap apart, so it's not a high security box. Alright, so we have just a little bit of water puddling on the top. A little bit of sun and that would evaporate away, so I don't think you're going to have worry about water sitting on top of it for too long, as long as it's visible to the sun. I mostly concentrated my water spray at the edges because, these panels should be watertight. They're solid plastic, so it's really the water that can get in around the edges. So I'm going to let this dry off a little bit, then open it up and take a look at those paper towels inside. Alright, I got cloudy out, so I'm not sure if this is going to dry off really fast. We're just going to open it, see what happens to water on the top when you open it. It kind of goes off the back there. Oh, yeah, water got all in there. That's more than I was expecting, actually. But don't expect things in this box to be kept dry. I sprayed it down with a hose, and I was focusing kind of near the edges and so forth. So maybe hitting a little harder than a light rain, but in a heavy rainstorm, I'm pretty sure anything in here is probably going to get wet, at least on the bottom, because there's definitely water all over the bottom. So it's not for things that need to be kept dry. Now it doesn't look like the water is pooling too much. There's a little bit here and there, but it hasn't really pooled. I'm going to fill this thing up with water with the hose and watch how it drains. Alright, I have this thing full of water, and it is definitely draining out the sides here. Now there is a ½ inch of water in there at the bottom, but it is slowly draining out the sides. Seems to be going through the cracks in the connections between the bottom and the sides. Alright, so this guy's been out here for about 6 hours under some sun. Still some water. The water is more to the front than the back, but it is pulled a little bit. If I lift it up a bit, it'll all move to one side. If I lift the whole thing up, it drips out. But I really want to know how well this thing will drain on its own, just sitting on the deck here. Because I don't want to have to come out here and lift it up, especially once I put stuff in it. Alright, so we still have some water in there. We're going to leave it like this and come and check it tomorrow. Alright, so it's the next day, and there is still just a little bit of water in the bottom of this deck box. It looks like it's going down through evaporation eventually, but it's still got some at the bottom. And it's kind of looking threatening here, like it might rain again today. Well, if that deck box wasn't wet inside before, it's going to be now. Right, this deck box is mostly under the eave here, but with wind-blown rain, it definitely got wet. The inside is not too much wetter than it was before, though. So a lot of this water that's in here, I think, was left over from when I hit it with the hose yesterday. So it's done an okay job protecting the inside from rain. All right, this box got rained on yesterday, but today's been very bright and sunny and hot. And all of the water that had been previously inside has evaporated, except for a little tiny bit right in here. So I'm a little worried about mosquitoes laying eggs in that type of water, because that's definitely not something you want as standing water. It only takes a couple of days for the mosquitoes to breed. So I've been tilting it around and kind of disturbed the water, and it moved around in different places. So you get a little puddle of it down there. And this box is on the south side of my house, so it's getting sunlight for at least 3 or 4 hours out of the day. Alright, we've had a second day of hot, sunny weather. I am not seeing any water left in this guy. So it looks like 2 days of hot, sunny weather, and we're in the sun for 4 or 5 hours, definitely dries out the bottom of this guy okay. Alright, so we now have a new dry box. Alright, so at this price point, it's a pretty reasonable place to kind of keep your stuff out of the way. Aesthetically, it's plastic, but it doesn't look horrible. It certainly looks better than having a whole bunch of junk thrown out. Water protection wise is better than nothing, and it does look like if water does get inside, it will eventually dry out, although I do have it kind of directly in the sun for a good portion of the day here, so that heat definitely helps that out.